The TV adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's saga, The Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power, debuted its first season earlier in 2022 and is currently in production for a 5-season commitment. Turns out, Sam Heughan has a dream role he'd love to step into when he's not playing Outlander's Jaime Fraser. In this video, let's talk about his willingness to portray a certain character in the show and all the new Season 2 cast additions. First off, he said he's willing to join Lord of the Rings, even as an elf. Just recently, in an interview with Audible, Sam revealed that he's desperate to be cast in Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power, the series adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's saga, and he wants to be in it so badly that he's even down to play an elf or a dwarf. So basically what he said is that if the show's still casting more people, he's available. He jokingly added by saying that he even has a ginger wig that can be used to play an elf, if they're interested. The Scottish actor also discussed his love of fantasy and specifically Tolkien's work, revealing a deep connection to The Lord of the Rings. He said his family were huge fans of the series as well. Turns out, his brother's named after an elf from the 1954 novel, while he himself owes his name to Samwise Gamgee, Frodo Baggins' loyal companion. Not only that, but he added by saying that he grew up on the grounds of a derelict castle. So he thinks that this fantasy element played a huge part in his liking towards this world. He said he used to imagine himself as Robert the Bruce or King Arthur, so all of these things were great influences on him while growing up. Next up, another role Sam wanted to play but didn't get. Fans may know that the period drama actor had been in the running for James Bond for months. He even auditioned for the role of the secret agent, but it seems like his dreams of becoming 007 could be over. Viewers had been talking for years about how good of a choice he'd be for this role, but a while ago it was confirmed that he won't be taking up the role after a strict mandate from the producers. Entertainment reporter Ross King just revealed that Eon Productions are currently searching for actors in their 30s or below to take on the iconic role. The actor, who's now 42, is apparently too old to be considered. The Hollywood expert also said that the reason for this choice is that the producers want someone young to carry the franchise across multiple films in future years. So sadly, he has been ruled out as an option. The directors are most likely looking at someone who'd be the perfect fit to shoulder the franchise for at least the next decade or more. And so, as the criteria suggest, the actor would have to be closer to the age of rising newcomer Regé-Jean Page rather than Idris Elba, who's almost 50. Even Henry Cavill, who seemed like a pretty solid option for the role, is probably ruled out because he's 39. Moving on, a role we'll actually see him play. Well, the good thing is, Sam did manage to get a movie role, and it's in the movie adaptation of Sony's best-selling video game, Days Gone. And the most exciting part is the fact that they've quite literally managed to somehow rope him in as the lead. That's a huge leap, even for someone who is used to riding around on horses. But if this information has gotten audiences riled up, wait till we tell you what's next in store. The movie doesn't only have a stellar lead, but apparently even the screenplay is being penned by an Oscar-winning screenwriter, Sheldon Turner. This man is literally the reason why we got to experience X-Men World Class. Imagine what he can bring to the table with Days Gone. Apparently, it's not even the first time they're working together. The two have already teamed up for this other grand project that they worked on, a narrative about Mount Everest called, well, Everest. Unfortunately, the movie got shelved and hasn't been in production for a while. But if fate is set to bring these two together, then who are we to complain, right? Coming up, how'd he get this role? Those wondering how someone might see this 16th century warrior and think to themselves that he'd look really good blowing out some zombie brains, that's a very valid question to have. We're wondering the same. How Heughan went from Fraser to Deacon remains a mystery. When being cast as Fraser, the man simply blew everyone's minds in his audition, but apparently this role is a little bit different. The writers already had him in mind when they decided that they wanted to create a movie adaptation of the video game. It's just one of those events you know when you're writing a story and a face just seems to fit the role. Now, we don't know how accurate this evaluation is and whether or not he would be able to live up to the hype, but given the man's track record, we wouldn't be surprised if he blows our minds. All we can say is that we really hope this dream turns into reality, for all of our sake and for his. Moving on, while Sam still has time to negotiate his potential role as an elf, let's go over the new cast additions in Season 2 of The Rings of Power. First off, new actors added to the season. Since its premiere, The Rings of Power has been regathering fans of the original Lord of the Rings films to experience the fantastical world of J.R.R. Tolkien once again. To date, Season 1 of the critically acclaimed show is the top original series for Amazon Prime Video in every region and has been viewed by over 100 million people all over the world. Vernon Sanders, head of global television at Amazon Studios, recently introduced the new cast that will be joining the cast from Season 1 as wonderful actors and gave them a warm welcome into the Fellowship, adding that he was excited to tell more incredible second-age stories in Season 2. Some of these new actors include Gabriel Akuwadike, Ben Daniels, Yasin Zaitz Ator, as well as other names like Nia Toll, Amelia Kenworthy, Nicholas Woodison, and Sam Hazeldine. Next up, Sam Hazeldine will play the role of a major character from Season 1. Adar, who was initially played by Game of Thrones' Joseph Mall, is all set to be recast by Sam Hazeldine, who we're going to see portraying the Uruk antagonist in the second season. The news came not long after Joseph Mall decided that he was going to be dropping out of the show for the second season. Amazon didn't say much about the reason for Mall's exit, but the actor himself addressed the news on Twitter, saying that he was honored that people enjoyed his portrayal of the character, adding that he was moving on from the show because he wanted to explore new characters and worlds. Just to jog your memory, Adar was introduced to viewers as the mysterious and intriguing leader of the orcs operating in the Southlands, responsible for all the death and destruction that forced humans out of the area. He, along with the rest of his orc followers, was ultimately responsible for the eventual creation of Mordor as well. By the end of the first season, we came to learn that Adar was one of the first elves to be corrupted by Morgoth, and that he actually tried to kill Sauron in the First Age, because he wanted to free the orcs from their servitude to him and Morgoth. Moving on, Hazeldine isn't the only new addition to the series. Along with the first few names we mentioned, and Hazeldine, 8 more actors were added to the already growing cast. They include Oliver Alvin Winston, Stuart Bowman, and Callum Lynch. Additionally, William Chubb, Kevin Eldon, and Will Keane will also join the show, followed by the likes of Selena Lowe and Gavi Singh Chera. That's a total of at least 14 new characters in Season 2. As one can probably gather, it's a pretty diverse cast, with each actor boasting some pretty impressive acting credits to their name. So yeah, we've got some high hopes for the characters they're going to be portraying, as well as for the story that's coming up ahead. Coming up, the rest of the inhabitants of Middle-earth will play a big role too. If there's one thing we've learned from the Rings of Power, it's that it's not all about the elves. The story of the Númenóreans and dwarves is also likely going to be carried forward. We think the latter will likely have to deal with the consequences of the discovery of the magical mithril and their consequent agreement for it. Meanwhile, the former will probably face some political turmoil as Queen Miriel and Elendil return to Númenor after the Númenórean king's sudden death. Besides that, we also saw the Southlanders left homeless after their home was turned into Mordor. Bronwyn and Arondir were fleeing for the west when we last saw them, and since they are original characters developed just for the series too, much like the witches, we have no clue where their story is headed either. All we know is that they'll play a significant role in the future conflict with Sauron. We're also super excited to see what's going down with Bronwyn's son, Theo, who we think may have some sort of connection with Sauron. Lastly, where will they fit in all these new characters? Well, we now know that the series isn't just going to have a second season, but is also set for a third, fourth, and fifth. Also, the world is going to keep growing. With all that in store, they're going to need more characters to fill the world they're adding. According to Jennifer Salk, head of Amazon Studios, they're building infrastructure for 5 seasons. Salk also said they're going to spend what they need to get it absolutely right. With all those seasons and a seemingly endless budget, they obviously need to bring on more people to add to the growing story and world. But we don't know too much about those seasons yet, so we can't really say who the new characters are going to be playing. And that's a wrap for this video. What are your thoughts on Sam Heughan's willingness to be an elf in the Lord of the Rings series? And what do you think of all the new cast members added to Season 2? Let us know in the comments below. Do give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell for more videos like this. See you in the next one.